is push period. We're in the heat of battle right now, and the first week is behind you, and the second week is upon you. And I'll tell you, my mission today is really to give you the tools, give you the strategy, teach you exactly what you need to do to make sure that the rest of the push is the best of the push. See, you cannot change anything that's happened up until this point. So if you're not on track for your push period goal, welcome to the club. Just about every rep that I've ever known and that I've ever coached to have a big push period, a $10,000, a $15,000, a $20,000, a $30,000 push period, and I've coached 7 reps to having their first $20,000 push period. I've coached 3 reps to their first $30,000 push period, and I've coached dozens of reps to having their first $10,000 or $15,000 push period. And the one thing that everybody has in common is very rarely are they on track after their first week. Very rarely is a representative on track after their first week. So ultimately, if you're coming to this call and you haven't had the week that you wanted, it's okay. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. In fact, that's the first thing that we want to establish on this call, is that wherever you are for your push up until this point, you have to embrace the fact that you're exactly where you're supposed to be to create the extraordinary push period that you're going to create. And it doesn't matter what's happened until now. I'm going to give you everything that you need on this call to turn it around and have really to sell more Cutco this week than you might even believe is possible for you. That's what I'm going to teach you how to do today. And I know that's a big promise to make, but look, your time is valuable, and I promise you I'm going to do everything in my power to fulfill on that promise. And I not only have the confidence when I say that I know that I can help you do that because I've personally done it. You know, Derek mentioned, the 15 push periods over 10,000 and 4 push periods over 20,000. Not only do I know how to do it from experience, but the reason I have so much confidence is not because I've used what I'm going to teach you today to create an amazing final week of push, but it's really because I've seen so many reps do it that I've taught this to. And what I'm going to teach you guys, the title of my message today, by the way, so write this in your notes if you haven't, it's Push Period Miracles. Push Period Miracles. And if you want to write in parentheses, next to Push Period Miracles, you can write down in parentheses the miracle equation. What today's message is about is it's really how to teach you to create what I call a push period miracle, which is where you finish you have maybe a tough week the first week, maybe things don't go the way you want, maybe you didn't even work as hard as you know you should have. Whatever the reason, if you're not on track, by the way, and if you are on track, congratulations, you're one of the few people that actually has the first week go according to plan. I don't see that happen very often. So if it happened for you, awesome. You're gonna get just as much out of this call, and you have an even easier job the second week selling for push. But I'll tell you, there is actually a negative. If you're looking at the pros and the cons, there is actually a couple cons of being on track for your push period goal. What happens is you tend to feel a sense of complacency. You tend to, you don't feel quite a sense of urgency. If you did have a great first week, you almost feel like, man, if my first week was good, I'm on track for my goal. This thing's just kind of going to happen. You start to get a false sense of security. So for those of you that are on track for your goal, you got to be aware that it's going to take a commitment to finish the second week strong, because you might not have things go as well the second week. You might have a few no-shows. You might have a couple of days that don't go the way that you planned, and that might shake your confidence. So you have to be ready to implement what I'm going to teach you guys today. And in order to create push period miracles, you have to use what I call the miracle equation. The miracle equation. And I've taught this to, like I said, a lot of representatives, and I've seen amazing, miraculous results. In fact, what I'm about to share with you guys, I just shared this with a representative that I work with. She has been selling Cutco since the beginning of the summer, and she wants to have a $10,000 push period. Her name is Kendall, and I've been working with Kendall, and I actually started working with her earlier in the summer, and she tried to have a $10,000 push period. She gave it everything she had, and she failed. She only sold, I think, just over $5,000. This was about, 2 or 3 months ago. So she was a little bit discouraged. I said, hey, look, the next push period is your opportunity to go out there and to make it happen. I taught her the miracle equation that I'm about to teach you guys. And using the miracle equation, let me just share with you what Kendall did. Her goal was $10,000 for push. Now remember, the last time she tried to sell $10,000 for push, she failed. Okay, so her confidence was not, she didn't have a whole lot of confidence. All she really had was what I'm going to teach you today, which is the miracle equation. That's really all she had. And so she went out, she gave it everything she had. She did 22 appointments her first week. So she worked hard. She did 22 appointments her first week. She averaged, 3 a day, all 7 days, and she sold $2,800. Now, I want you to put yourself in Kendall's shoes. So, in fact, many of you might be in Kendall's shoes. So she was at $2,800 for the push after doing 22 appointments, and now she's $7,200 away from her $10,000 goal. So imagine if you're $7,200 away from your goal and you just worked really, really hard and all you sold was $2,800, that's going to be pretty scary. You're probably going to be filled with a little bit of fear or a lot of fear, a little bit of doubt or a lot of doubt. And Kendall was definitely scared to figure out how the heck she was going to sell $7,200. Well, let me share something with you guys. When you apply the miracle equation, as you're going to be able to do after this call, I really believe that you're going to access a different level of results. What I mean by that is this. I'm sure you're all familiar with the law of averages. See, I believe, though, that when you live by the law of averages, that's what average people do. I believe that when you follow the miracle equation, you access a different realm, which is, instead of the law of averages, it's what I call the law of miracles. And I believe that when Kendall harnessed the power of the miracle equation, she was living in the law of miracles, and she ended up, listen to this, so she had to sell $7,200 her second week, and she was at $4,400 going into her last day. So she was $2,800 away from her goal, but she had just had the best week in her career. On her last day, so imagine, put yourself in Kendall's shoes. She's $2,800 away from her goal, and she only has 1 day left. She's never had a $2,800 day in her whole career. But she told me, Hal, if the miracle equation works for you and it works for all these other representatives, which you guys are going to hear about today, she said, I know it can work for me. So she goes out on her last day. She's all pumped up. She has 5 demos. First demo, no show. How do you think she felt? She was discouraged. Second demo, no sale. But she didn't give up the faith. She continued to apply the miracle equation, and on her last 3 appointments, she sold over $2,800 and finished the push period at $10,000. So that's what the miracle equation does for people. It's what it's going to do for you. And if you implement what I'm about to teach you, you're going to go out, and I promise you, it doesn't matter what's happened up until this point, you're going to be able to make this week, the rest of the push, the best of your push, and sell more Cutco in the next 5, 6, 7 days than you even believe or than you even know is possible for you at this point. All right, guys, I believe Cody Rose, I don't know how many of you heard Cody Rose give a talk recently. I heard that he spoke to the division, and he taught you guys something that I taught him a few weeks ago, which is what I call the real purpose of a goal. So just in case you were not on that call with Cody Rose, I'm going to review what this is real quick. And if you were on that call, I still think it's important to hear it again and hear it, you'll hear it in a different way when I share it. So here's the deal. The purpose of a goal, and if you're taking notes, and I hope you're taking notes because I'm definitely going to share some things that you want to write down today. If you're taking notes, write down the real purpose of a goal is not to hit the goal. The real purpose of a goal is not to hit the goal. Now, that's counterintuitive. People think, well, what do you mean? Why would you set a goal if you're not trying to hit it? Now, I did not say that you shouldn't try to hit the goal. I just said the real purpose is not to hit the goal. Let me reveal the truth about this. The real purpose of a goal. See, let me share with you guys this. The purpose of a goal, if you believe it, the only purpose of a goal is to hit the goal, then when you're not on track for the goal, you tend to feel discouraged, you tend to get demotivated, and you tend to give up. because you think it's all or nothing. It's either if I hit the goal, I win, I succeed. If I don't hit the goal, then I fail. And that's a bad way to play the game of Cutco and the game of life, because it creates that all or nothing mentality. See, you have to understand the real purpose of a goal is to become more by giving it everything you have until the end. So if you're taking notes and you want to write that down, the real purpose of a goal is to become more by giving it your all until the end. What that means is that when you give it your all until the end, you grow as a person. You become more than you were before. You become more capable. You become more disciplined. You become more resilient. You become more motivated. Whether or not you hit your goal does not take away any of that growth. Only the growth lasts forever. Nothing else lasts forever. The money, you're going to spend it as fast as you make it. Hopefully you'll manage it and you'll save some. But most likely, more than likely, you're going to spend the money as fast as you make it. So that's not going to last. The pride and the recognition and the glory, those things are awesome and they're worth working for, but those things will fade away with time. But the only thing that is forever is the growth that you experience. And the growth doesn't come from hitting the goal. The growth comes from you not giving up trying, giving it everything you have until the end. That's how you grow as a person. And that's what the purpose of a goal is. So if you understand that, then you understand, look, there's nothing to fear, guys. I'm taking the fear away. There is no such thing as failing. The only way you can fail is if you give up. The only way you can fail to achieve the real purpose of your goal is if you stop giving it everything you have. Ultimately, whether or not you reach the goal, your CPO total at the end is inconsequential. It's a distant second to the growth you experience by giving it your all. So that's the first thing that I want to share with you guys, and hopefully that can take away the fear of failure. Remember, the only way to fail is to give up. That's the only way you can fail at the real purpose of your goal is to give up. So don't give up. Give it everything you have until the end, and I'm telling you, at the end of this week, on the other side of this week, if you give it everything you have, no matter what you end up selling, there is a version of yourself that you don't even know exists. There is a person within you, a version of yourself that is so disciplined and extraordinary. It's already within you. It's not something that you have to become. You just have to tap into your own extraordinary abilities, and you do that by giving it your all until the end. All right, guys, I'm going to share with you the miracle equation after I take a drink of water. All right, guys, so here we go. I want you guys to write down the miracle equation is made up of two decisions. The miracle equation is made up of two decisions, and these are the same two decisions that I have made that allowed me to have my first $20,000 push all the way to my fourth $20,000 push and every other push in between. These are the same two decisions that every representative that I have coached to having their first $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 push period, they're the same two decisions that every single one of those people made, and they're the same two decisions that you will have the opportunity to make before we hang up the phone tonight. So I'm excited about that. So you guys can write down decision number 1 and decision number 2. So write down decision number 1, and underneath that, write down decision number 2. I'm going to tell you what the two decisions are, and then I'm going to tell you what they mean. I'm going to tell you how I figured these out and how they changed not only my Cutco career, but they really changed my life forever. These are the same two decisions that not only allowed me to have my push period success, but I've kept them with me for the rest of my life. They allowed me to write my book and to overcome my fears of becoming a motivational speaker and making that dream come true. These are really the same two decisions that will allow you to achieve everything that you want in your life, inside of Cutco and also beyond Cutco. All right. Decision number 1, unwavering faith until the last moment. So write down in your notes, unwavering faith until the last moment. And I want you to either underline or circle the words unwavering faith. So underline or circle the words unwavering faith. So that's decision number one. Decision number two is extraordinary effort until the last moment. Extraordinary effort until the last moment. And I want you to underline or circle the words extraordinary effort. See, the miracle equation is comprised of unwavering faith plus extraordinary effort equals push, period, miracles. That's the equation. That is the formula that will allow you to create magic this week. And let me explain how I came up with this and how I saw that it would work time and time and time again, for whether it was for me or for anyone that I taught it to. My goal, I was trying to have my first $20,000 push period. Guys, this was a long time ago. This was back when, I don't know, only a few reps had ever done $20,000 for a push. I had tried to do $20,000 for a push 2 other times. So I had tried to do $20,000 for a push, and I had failed 2 times. So was there a lot of fear in me setting this goal again, knowing that I had failed before? Absolutely. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of doubt. And so I was really getting myself psyched up to commit to going for this goal. Now, part of what allowed me to go for this goal, by the way, was my belief that the real purpose of a goal is not to hit it, but the purpose is to grow by giving it your all. That's part of what allowed me to go for the goal, is because I knew it wasn't all or nothing. I knew that even if I only sold 18,000 or 15,000, I knew that as long as I gave it my all, that I was still going to grow as a person. So that's part of what took the fear away from me going for such a big goal. Because I know in the past when I thought the only reason to set a goal was to hit it, and then if you didn't set the goal, you were a failure, and I used to beat myself up over it, right? That was when I was a lot more reserved in my goal setting. So I set the goal for $20,000, and I figured out that I had to average, I believe it was about $1,700 a day for 14 days. So it was still very scary. That was a big day every day. However, it only got worse when I went to the team meeting. I went to my team meeting, and my manager told me something that absolutely terrified me. He told me something that I shouldn't say terrified me, but it discouraged me. It basically made me want to give up on my goal. Now, you guys might be thinking, what a crappy manager. Why would he tell you something to discourage you? Well, all he did was he told the whole office, he said, hey guys, by the way, this is not a 14-day push period. This is a shorter than normal push period. It's only 10 days. So all of a sudden, I was having trouble, committing, really believing that I could sell $20,000 in 14 days, and all of a sudden my manager pulls 4 days away from me. And now I'm thinking, how in the heck am I going to average $2,000 a day for 10 days? That seems almost impossible. So as I'm driving home that night from the team meeting, I'm thinking, man, I can't do $2,000 a day for 10 days. I can't do that. That's impossible. I remembered something that Tony Robbins said. In case you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's one of the most famous peak performance coaches, motivational speakers, authors in the world. And Tony Robbins, he used to always say in his books and on his audios, he said, if you ever catch yourself telling yourself that you can't do something, he said, you have to replace the word can't with the word must. Because if you say I can't do something, he said, you're placing a limitation on yourself, a limiting belief within you that's not based on reality. It's just based on your fears. And so in that moment when I heard myself saying, I can't sell $20,000 in 10 days, I heard Tony Robbins' voice in my head saying, if you can't, then you must. So I switched it around. I said, I must sell $20,000 in 10 days. So I went home and I started thinking, how am I going to do it? Okay, if I must do it, how is it going to happen? And I thought, well, what makes someone fail at achieving a goal? I thought, what makes someone fail when they're trying to achieve a big goal? I thought, well, the first thing that goes out the window is if people aren't on track for their goal, they usually give up the faith that it's possible. And guys, as soon as you give up the faith that your goal is possible, it becomes impossible, right? You follow? Real simple. If you give up the faith that your goal is possible, it becomes impossible. And 99.9% of people and 99.9% of Cutco reps, when they're not on track for their goal, they start to give up faith that it's possible. And the further off track they get, the more they stop believing it's possible. And then as soon as you give up the faith that your goal is possible, the second thing that goes out the window is the effort. See, once your heart's not in it anymore, once you don't really believe it's possible, then you stop putting forth the effort that's necessary to make it possible. So I thought about it, and I thought, I've got to make two decisions if I'm going to make basically what I was considering a miracle. I thought, this is going to be a push period miracle. If I can sell $20,000 in 10 days, and again, you guys, this was 10 years ago. This was before this ever happened, right? I mean, reps sell a lot more nowadays than they did 10 years ago. So I was like, if I'm going to make this happen, this is a freaking miracle. I have to make two decisions. Decision number one, I have to maintain unwavering faith until the last possible moment. And then I thought, well, how am I going to do that? And I decided I have to speak my goal into existence. So if you guys want to write under unwavering faith or next to it or just somewhere, you guys write down, I must speak my goal into existence. That's what unwavering faith, that's what it means to have unwavering faith. Instead of saying things like, oh man, there's no way I'm going to reach my goal now. Oh man, I'm nowhere near where I need to be. Oh man, I had another bad day. This sucks. Instead of speaking my goal out of existence like I had done in the past and like most people do, I decided I was committed to saying nothing other than I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There is no other option. And I want you guys to write that down. Write down Hal's miracle mantra. Hal's miracle mantra. Mantra is M-A-N-T-R-A. Hal's miracle mantra. And this is the phrase that I said over and over and over and over and over again every single day, over and over and over until the end of the push. And this phrase is what allowed me to kind of program myself to stay committed, keep going, keep giving it my all. And there's a lot of representatives, and I'll say the phrase again for you in a second so you can write it down, but there's almost every representative that I've taught the miracle equation to, they tell me that it was the miracle mantra that got them to keep going when they felt like giving up. And here's the miracle mantra. Write this down. I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There is no other option. I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There is no other option. So that was the first decision that I made. Unwavering faith until the last moment. That meant even if on the last day I was $10,000 away from my goal, I was committed to still saying that I was going to reach it. I realized that was the only way that the miracle of $20,000 would be possible. The second decision, I thought, and I've got to put forth extraordinary effort until the end. I can't cut corners. I can't sleep in. I can't skip a phone time. So extraordinary effort didn't mean that I was going to, start demos at 6 a.m. and do them till 2 a.m. That's not what I meant by extraordinary effort. I just meant by doing what I needed to do, following through with my commitments. That's all I meant. See, ordinary effort is cutting corners. Ordinary effort is skipping phone time. Ordinary effort is procrastinating. Ordinary effort is not making as many calls as you're supposed to make. Extraordinary effort doesn't mean you're working from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. It just means that you're doing what's necessary to reach your goal, to make your goal possible for you. It means you're following through with the commitments and you're not cutting corners, you're not procrastinating, you're not missing a phone time. So that was my second decision. I went out my first week pumped up. I was like, okay, man, I'm starting to believe it. See, one of the things that happens is when you start using that miracle mantra and you start telling yourself over and over and over again, I'm going to reach my goal no matter what, there's no other option, you actually start believing it. That's the funny part. You actually go from being like, there's no way, that after you've repeated that phrase for a day or two and you've said it 100 times, you start to actually tell your brain gets convinced that like, wow, you really believe it. Maybe you're actually going to do it. So I started to actually think it was going to happen. And then reality set in. And I went and had my first day, and I had like 3 no sales, a no show, and I sold like $200. So I needed to be at $2,000 a day, and I sold $200 my first day. I was so discouraged. But I was committed, even though I was discouraged, that I was going to override my discouragement. I was going to override my fear and override my doubt with the power of unwavering faith. So that night before I went to bed, instead of saying, man, this sucks, I can't believe I had such a bad day, I said, I don't care how my day went today. I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There's no other option. I'm going to sell $20,000 no matter what. There's no other option. Went out my second day, had another bad day. I finished the first week. Now, keep in mind, I needed to be at $14,000 after the first week because I only had 3 days left to get to $20,000. So to be on track, I needed to sell $14,000 my first week. Well, I fell $7,000 short of where I needed to be. And instead of selling $14,000 for the first week, I sold $7,000. I went into my office to turn in my orders. My manager was there. He said, "Hey, Hal, how are you on track for your goal? I know you're going for $20,000. Did you get close to $14,000 for the week?" I said, "No, Frank, I sold $7,000, man. It was a pretty rough week." He goes, "That's okay." He goes, "Why don't you lower your goal and go for $10,000? That's still a good push. You got 3 days left, go have 3 grand days." I said, "Frank, I don't think you understand. I'm committed to giving it everything I have to sell $20,000 until the last possible moment. There is no other option." He said, "Oh, okay. That's okay. Go for it then." He didn't believe I was going to do it. And did I really believe it, you guys? I want you to let me pause for a second and let me be real with you. The miracle equation was a strategy. It didn't mean that I really believed that I was going to sell $13,000 in my last 3 days, because I was at 7,000. I was 13,000 away from my goal, and I had 3 days to do it. Let me tell you, this doesn't make you superhuman in terms of like you don't all of a sudden think, like, you still have a reality setting in. So you're still going, man, I have 3 days left and I'm $13,000 away. If I were a betting man, I would not bet very much money on the fact that I was going to sell $13,000 in 3 days. So I just want to be really clear about that. Like, you're going to have fear and doubt until the last moment of your push period, until you reach your goal. So that part doesn't go away. It's just that you override the fear and the doubt with the power of unwavering faith. And that's what I did. And I went out, and the first day of the second week, I had almost a $3,000 day, and I was just under $10,000 for the push. So now I had 2 days left, and I had 2 days left, and I was $10,000 away, and driving to my appointment saying, I'm going to reach my goal no matter what, there's no other option. I go out the next day, and I have a $3,000 day. I am now at $13,000 for the push. I'm $7,000 away with 1 day left. And I'm telling myself, now, do I really believe that I'm going to have a 7 grand day? Not really. I don't really think that that's very likely, but I'm still giving it everything I have, and I'm still telling myself that I'm going to find a way to make it happen. And I go out that last day, and I sell $4,000, and I'm at $17,000 for push. Now, I could have easily rested on my laurels. I could have said, all right, hey, that was pretty amazing. I mean, this was what a great comeback these last 3 days. But you guys, I was committed to finding a way to get to $20,000. So I called my manager, and the conference the next day started at noon. So I begged my manager. I said, hey, is it okay if I meet you guys at the conference? I really have to find a way to make this miracle happen, and I can still schedule an 8 a.m. and a 10 a.m. demo and meet you guys at the conference. He said, go for it, Hal. You have my blessings. Some of your managers are like, don't tell them that. They need to be at the office at the last day, but whatever. So that's what happened. So he says, all right, go for it. So I scheduled 2 appointments for the next day. Now, you guys, what I'm about to tell you, I truly believe is a miracle. And I'm not saying it's a religious miracle where, Jesus was there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying I believe that when you live by the miracle equation, you access the realm of miracles where extraordinary things happen, where the universe conspires, and the powers of the universe, I don't exactly know how to explain it, but I've seen it happen so many times that I know that these powers that are beyond our understanding, and again, whether it's the universe or it's God or whatever higher power you believe in, or if it's your, if you just believe in your own human potential, whatever it is, I believe that powers come together, and I think you're going to see how that happened when I tell you how the last day went. But powers beyond our understanding come together to help us reach our goal when we really commit and give it everything we have until the end. Because think about it, guys. 99.9% of people don't live this way. 99.9% of people, they don't take their lives on this way. They don't take their goals on this way. And that's why 99.9% of people live very average, mediocre lives. But they're athletes. They're athletes that live the miracle equation. You see, I'm an NBA fan. You see basketball players like Michael Jordan or Reggie Miller. This is a great example. Reggie Miller one time pulled out the impossible. He scored, I believe there was 7 seconds left in the game. His team was down by 8 points, and he scored 9 points in the last 7 seconds of the game. Now think about it. All of the other teammates of his had probably given up the faith that they could win the game because there was only 7 seconds left or 8 seconds left and they were down by 9 points. I don't know the exact points. I might be off by a point or two. But all of the average player had given up faith, and therefore they gave up putting forth the effort. Reggie Miller was living by the miracle equation, and he scored a three-pointer. Then he caught an inbound pass, scored another three-pointer. Then they threw it in. He got a steal, and he shot a two-pointer, and he made 8 points in 7 seconds to win the game. That's what the miracle equation is all about. It allows you to live beyond the law of averages into the realm of the miraculous. And here's what happened for me on my last day. I drove to my first appointment. I'm at 17,000 for push. I'm 3,000 away. I've got 2 demos. I go to my first one. I'm all pumped up. I'm using the miracle mantra, saying, I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There is no other option. I get to the house. I'm pumped up. I'm at a level 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm at a 10. I'm ready to go. I knock on the door. Nobody answers. So I knock on the door again, and nobody answers. I ring the bell. Nobody answers. I call the lady. Nobody answers the phone. I get the answer machine. And it's a no-show. And my heart sinks down into my stomach. And my level 10 enthusiasm drops down to a level 2. And I get in my car, breathing heavy, thinking, how could this be happening? I was so close. And I drive to my final appointment, down but not out. I pick myself up, I dust myself off, and I say, okay, I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There's no other option. I don't know how in the hell I'm going to sell $3,000 on my last demo, but gosh dang it, I got to find a way. I go to the last house. I knock on the door. The woman answers the door, only it's not the woman I set the demo with. It's this lady with a very heavy European accent. And she says, hello. I don't do accents very well, guys, so I might sound Mexican or Swedish. I don't know what the hell I sound like when I do an accent. They're never very good. But anyway, so I said, she goes, oh, hello, may I help you? And I said, yeah, is so-and-so here? I thought maybe this lady was the, I don't know, house cleaner or something. I didn't know what she was. And she says, no, she left for the day. She's across town about 2 hours away, and she left. And I thought, no, maybe can you call her cell phone? There's no way she could have forgot about me. We have an appointment. She said, oh, I'm so sorry. She must have forgot, but she won't be back for a few hours. She said, is there anything that I can do to help you? And I said, well, ma'am, who are you? She said, I'm her sister-in-law from Sweden. I'm visiting from Sweden. Or I don't know what actually, it might have been a different country. Don't quote me on the country. But she said, I'm visiting from Europe. And she said, I'm here for my brother's 50th birthday party. And so she says, I can help you, though, what do you need? And I'm thinking, dude, the foreign lady on vacation is not going to buy any knives from me, right? So my first response is, oh, thank you, but no thank you, that's okay. And then all of a sudden, guys, something magic happened. and it was based on one of the decisions that I had made. In my head, I heard a voice. It was my voice. It said, I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There's no other option. It was my voice, that commitment that I committed that I would maintain unwavering faith until the last moment. I committed that I'd put forth extraordinary effort until the last moment, no matter what. So all of a sudden I said, actually, ma'am, you could help me. Would you mind if I did my presentation for you? She said, sure, come on in. And I went in, and even though I didn't think the odds were very good that this woman on vacation for her brother's birthday party from Europe, I didn't think the odds of her being in a mood to buy a set of knives and fly them back to Europe, not to mention to buy $3,000 worth of knives, I didn't think the odds of that happening were very good, but it didn't matter because I was committed to giving it everything I had until the end. And I decided, remember, it's okay if you don't hit your goal, but it's not okay if you give up. It's not okay if you don't give it everything you have until the end. So I go in there and I do the best demo I can possibly do. And you guys, 2 tiny miracles happened on that appointment. Now you can call these coincidences. I don't give it. You call them whatever you want. But the woman tells me 2 things that led me to believe this was magic. How could this happen? During the demo, she tells me, number 1, she says, Hal, it's so funny that you're showing me knives right now. She said, my husband and I were just looking at a brand new set of Hinkles back at home. We were going to buy a brand new set of Hinkles before we came out to America, but we decided something inside us said we should wait until our trip to America was over. So she was actually in the market for high-quality cutlery. That was miracle number 1. Remember I told you that when you live by the miracle equation, there are forces beyond your understanding that come to your aid to make this miracle possible. Miracle number 2, she says, oh, it's my brother's 50th birthday party next week, and our family has been looking for, we want to get him a really nice gift, but we just have not been able to decide on the right gift for him. What do you guys think his passion was? What do you think he loved to do more than anything else, his favorite hobby? And if you said cooking, you are correct. She was in the market for knives. What are the odds of that? And she was in the market for a nice gift for her brother who loved to cook. So you guys, in miraculous fashion, this foreign lady on vacation, the most unlikely customer, my last chance at creating a push period miracle, buys 2 ultimate sets from me. And I finish the push period at 20,934 CPO, and I drive to the conference. You guys, the miracle equation was born, and I decided to try it again a few weeks later for another $20,000 push period, and it worked. Then I tried it a month or 2 later for another one, and it worked, and then another one. I had 4 $20,000 push periods in a row using the miracle equation. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't send out letters to my customers or catalogs or emails. Like there were no fancy, extra sales techniques. I didn't get a bunch of phone orders. I just did the miracle equation. And it worked for me so many times that I decided this is a real strategy. However, I didn't know if it would work for anyone else. I didn't know if this was something that I could teach to another person and it would work. So I had my first opportunity when Jerry Azinger, who has sold over $1 million of Cutco, but she had never had over her biggest push period ever was $14,000. So she came to me and said, Hal, can you teach me how to have a $15,000 push period? I said, Jerry, I think I could teach you to have a $20,000 push period. She said, I don't know, that's too big. So I taught her the miracle equation. You guys, I taught her the miracle equation exactly the way that I just taught it to you. And I'll tell you what, remember, I didn't know if it would work for her. I knew it worked for me, but I didn't know if it would work for her. So I kept my fingers crossed. I had to kind of maintain unwavering faith that, hey, this could work for her too. Jerry went out. She didn't have a very good first week. She had a really good second week, but she was still it was actually very similar to my push period. It was kind of funny. She was at $17,000 going into her last day. And she called me that night, the night before, and she goes, Hal, I'm $3,000 away from my push period goal. I'm really scared because I have to have a $3,000 day tomorrow. I've only had, a couple of those in my whole career. She said, but I figure if the miracle equation worked for you, it can work for me too. And she text messaged me the next day, and all the text message said was, Hal, the miracle equation works. I sold $5,000 today. I'm at $22,000 for push. And then I had a little bit of faith that, hey, maybe this will work for other people. So then I had another one of my coaching clients, Fabian Valencia. Fabian came to me and he said, Hal, I really want to have a $10,000 push period, but my biggest push period is only $4,000. So there may be more of you that relate to Fabian. Most of you probably aren't going for a $20,000 push. So I don't want you to think that this only works if your goal is $20,000. I don't care if your goal is $4,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, it doesn't matter. So Fabian's goal was $10,000, and his biggest push ever was $4,000. And Fabian was not a really confident guy, very introverted, kind of reserved. And he said, Hal, can you teach me how to have a $10,000 push? So I taught Fabian the miracle equation, exactly how I taught it to you. Fabian went out his first week. He gave it everything he had, and he sold $2,000. Put yourself in Fabian's shoes for a second, and maybe you are in Fabian's shoes. Imagine you were at $2,000. You just tied the best week in your career, and you were $8,000 away from your goal. What are the odds that $2,000 is your best week, and you just worked really hard to have it, and you somehow are going to have an $8,000 week? That feels pretty close to impossible. Fabian and I talked on the phone. He said, Hal, I don't know how I'm going to sell $8,000 in a week. I'm really scared. But he said, if the miracle equation worked for you, and if it worked for Jerry, he said, I know it could work for me. So even though I don't know how I'm going to do it, I'm going to reach my goal no matter what. There's no other option. I'm going to give it everything I have until the end. Unwavering faith and extraordinary effort until the last possible moment. You guys, Fabian sold over $8,000 the second week in miraculous fashion, and he finished at $10,000 for push. And the final story I want to share with you, because I think it's so important for us to have evidence that, wow, this works for all these other people. They're all just normal reps. They're not special. They're just like you. And if it worked for me, and it worked for Jerry, and it worked for Fabian, the miracle equation works for all of us. And it's worked for dozens of other people that I don't have time to tell you about, right? It'll work for you. The miracle equation doesn't pick favorites. It works for whoever makes those two decisions and sticks with them until the end. So this is my favorite miracle equation. Robert Arauco was 19 years old. He hired me to start working with him and coaching him, and he said, Hal, I just had a $10,000 push period. I'm feeling pretty confident. I really want to go for a $20,000 push period. I've heard that you've helped other people have a $20,000 push period. Please teach me how to do it. So you guys can probably guess what I taught Robert, what I told him. Of course, I taught him the miracle equation, just like I just taught it to you guys. I told him the same story. And Robert, his response was totally not what I expected. He said, Hal, if the miracle equation works for a $20,000 push, do you think it'll work for a $30,000 push? And I kind of laughed. I said, Robert, I like the way that you think, man. I said, you know what? I don't see why not. I don't think there's any limit to the size of the miracle. I said, my biggest push I only did 27,000, so that's bigger than what I've done, but I would love to see you do it, man. Why don't you apply the miracle equation to 30,000? If you want to do it, go for it. He said, I'm going to do it. Unwavering faith and extraordinary effort until the last moment that I can sell $30,000. You guys, Robert went out his first week, and he sold $10,000. That's amazing, but again, put yourself in Robert's shoes for a second. He just had the best week in his career at $10,000, but he was $20,000 away from his goal. How in the heck are you supposed to have your biggest week at $10,000 and then have a $20,000 week? I don't get I would even be intimidated. I mean, I've never even had a $20,000 week, and I sold a lot of Cutco. That's a huge week. So Robert said, Hal, I am scared. I won't even tell you what he said. He said, I'm scared, whatever, that that I don't know if I could do it. But he said, shoot, if the miracle equation worked for you to sell $13,000 in 3 days, maybe I can sell $20,000 in 7 days. I was like, go for it, Robert. He went out there, and in the next 7 days, he sold $15,000. He was at $25,000 for push. And he called me. He said, Hal, what should I do now? He said, I don't have time to set any demos tomorrow morning. We have to meet at the office at 9. We have to be there at 8:30 a.m. We have to get on a bus at 9 a.m. to drive to the conference. We have a 1-hour bus ride. Now, you guys, what I'm about to tell Robert, make sure you get this down, because this is a strategy that you can use where you can sell an extra $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 the last day of push, even the last hour of push. Listen to what happened. So Robert said, Hal, what can I do? I can't do any more demos. I said, okay, Robert, here's what you're going to do. I said, are you committed to putting forth extraordinary effort until the last moment? He said, yes. I said, even if that means getting out of your comfort zone? He said, yes. I said, okay, then what you need to do is you need to call back every single person that you did a demo for during the push. Even if whether they bought or not, you have to call back every single person. I said, now part of what Robert was doing was he was telling people that he was committed to giving, this goal. He was going for this big, huge number, and he was committed to giving it everything he had until the end. I recommend inspiring your customers with your commitment to your goal. So that's what Robert was telling his customers. He was committed to giving everything he had until the end, and he was going for this big goal. So I said, Robert, they all know that you're going for this big goal, right? He said, yeah. I said, and they all know, you've told them you're committed to giving it your all until the end, right? He said, yeah. I said, so when you call them, you're just being consistent with your word. You're just living with integrity. He said, okay. I said, so call them and tell them. Say, hey, Hal, how are you doing? I just want to let you know, remember I told you I was going for that goal? I wanted to just thank you for your help. You really helped me out. It means so much. So if you're taking notes when you call them, number one, express your appreciation. Tell them how much you appreciate their help. So if they bought from you, tell them you appreciate them buying. If they didn't buy from you, tell them you appreciate so much them, spending their valuable time with you. Let them know how close you are to your goal. That's number two. Let them know how close you are to your goal. Number three is let them know you do not want them to feel any pressure to buy, not at all. Say, I'm not calling you because I want you to feel any pressure to buy. Please know that up front. But because I'm so close, I figured it wouldn't hurt to ask. I just want to see if there was anything else that you might want to get to help me get closer to my goal. And if not, that doesn't matter. I still appreciate you, and you guys, you don't have to write this down word for word. I'm just kind of embellishing so you get the gist of it, right? So I say, if not, that's okay, Ms. Jones. Don't feel any pressure. But I know you like Cutco, and I thought you might, in case you want to get anything, it would really help me out toward my goal. And for the people that didn't buy, you say, Ms. Jones, I know you really liked that, homemaker, or you were really looking at that galley or whatever it is, and I thought, you could do it on a 5-way if you wanted to try it out, but again, no pressure. I just thought it wouldn't hurt to at least ask and see what you thought. You guys, again, put yourself in Robert's shoes. Was that comfortable for him to make those calls? No. It was extraordinary effort out of his comfort zone. Now, he didn't even really think much was going to come. He thought, what's really going to happen if I call these people, right? How much are they really going to buy over the phone? I'm $5,000 away from my goal. I don't think there's any way, he didn't really think there was any way he was going to sell $5,000 over the phone on a 1-hour bus ride. But you guys, remember, Robert wasn't living in alignment with the law of averages. Robert was accessing that realm that I call the law of miracles. And remember, when you live in that realm, when you live with unwavering faith and extraordinary effort, all the forces of the universe conspire. They come together to create extraordinary results, miraculous results for you in your push period. So Robert said, okay, Hal, I'm going to make the calls. He called me an hour later, and he said, Hal, you'll never frickin' believe this. He said, I sold $6,000 over the phone. He said, the miracle equation works. and he finished the push period at $31,000. You guys, if the miracle equation worked for me to sell $13,000 the last 3 days of my push and $3,000 on my last demo to the foreign chick on vacation, the miracle equation will work for you. If the miracle equation worked for Jerry Azinger to sell $22,000 for push, $5,000 her last day, the miracle equation will work for you. If the miracle equation worked for Fabian Valencia to have $2,000 his first week, his biggest week in his career, and somehow follow it up with an $8,000 week, it doesn't even make sense. It was so far beyond what he'd ever done before. But if the miracle equation worked for Fabian to make that kind of a comeback, it'll work for you. And if the miracle equation worked for Robert Arauco to sell $21,000 the second week of his push period, to sell $6,000 the last hour of his push period, the miracle equation will work for you. You guys, that's all I've got for you. Unwavering faith plus extraordinary effort until the last moment, and whether or not you reach your goal is inconsequential. What matters is who you become this next week by giving it everything you have until the last moment, no matter what. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your valuable time, and I cannot wait to hear your story about the push period miracle that you create. All right, everybody, take care.